Thanks.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, how you doing, guys? So I guess we're supposed to talk a little bit about the book, about the history of the store. I'll be honest, we found out, about 10 minutes ago that there wasn't going to be a moderator here, so we're going to kind of wing it, and hopefully it goes well. Yeah. So we started in 1888, as Emily mentioned. We've been there now. This is now our 125th anniversary, and a lot of what we're doing is a bunch of celebrations about that, and that's kind of where the book stems from a little bit. Trying to capture a little glimpse, a little snapshot in time, 125 years in, so that in 125 years from now we can kind of look back and say, hey, this is what life was like in 2013. And Baldomero did a wonderful job with the photography and really capturing every aspect of the guys behind the counter and the customers in front of the counter and everything in between. And I think you did an awesome job.
Sweet.
So, what was your inspiration?
I think Beth, the publisher, and I came at this as we thought this is just a subject that's ripe to be explored, and Katz's is just a place that's brimming with activity and color and sound and characters and all sorts of things, and we thought we could really spend a year here and not exhaust it, which is pretty much what happened. We spent
pretty much every day you guys were in. And
yeah, close to 9 months, we tried to capture Katz's in every facet. Every hour of the day, every day of the week, every part of the season, and really get a holistic picture of Katz's through the minutia of Katz's. So we explored everything. And Jake was pretty great, and Alan and the whole team there were pretty fantastic at just opening up the doors and drawers and everything for us. Said, go ahead, and it's an openness that's not common, especially in a restaurant business or any kind of business for that matter. They, even in the back office where the secret layer that's locked.
Beware of attack.
Exactly. They let us in everywhere, and it was pretty fantastic to be able to get that, and it was great to be able to spend that much time there because after a while you sort of become part of Katz's. You become part of the background, and the employees get to know you. Some of the regulars get to know you, and.
That said, I don't think you could cut a sandwich, to be honest.
I know. I wouldn't even attempt to cut a sandwich.
That's a weird, stringy, awful thing that we couldn't serve anyone.
But it was great. It was really great to become a fly on the wall there. And after a while, people didn't even notice me anymore. And I think that's what sort of lent to the success of the book, was all the openness and then sort of disappearing into the background.
I think personally, I don't know about you, but one of my favorite sections is the 3 a.m. section. Just because some of that cast of characters that don't appear during the lunch and during the dinner crowds really emerge from the woodworks. and I think you did a wonderful job. One of my favorite pictures is the just the whole array from behind. All the head shots and the boot shots, and it's like, well, okay, this is bizarre scene to be seeing at a deli, getting pastrami or corned beef, and you see people going out and at the end of their night coming in for a sandwich, and I think you captured that really well.
Yeah, no, it was great to be able to spend all the time there, and after a while, when you're in the line to get a sandwich, all you see is the back of people's heads, because you're, first of all, really hungry to get a sandwich, and so you're as close as you can because you don't want anyone getting in front of you. So that's all you see is people's heads. And after a while, it's like, oh, this is pretty great. You kind of start capturing characters and things just by seeing the back of their heads, and you sort of are informed about what's going on and where you are and at what time it is and who's there, just by all the little sort of visual clues, the clothes and the shoes and the hair, and so that was really fun. And it was also fun to be on the other side of the counter, and as someone who goes to Katz as a customer, you don't get to be on that side, so then looking at customers from the other side was great. And then the sort of repetition of everything over and over and over, you start to notice little sort of details and little things, and I think when you are sort of blasted with all this information, it starts to become even more interesting rather than boring.
Yeah, that's kind of like my life every day. I think I don't know. I'm actually curious what your favorite part to shoot was, because you did come through. I mean, like you said, he wasn't kidding. He really came in every season, just weird times and all, for a lot really. And I'm just sort of curious what you enjoyed the most.
I think for me the most interesting part was the part people don't see is the sort of the bowels of Katz's, and being in the kitchen and seeing all of the, how the pots are marked, depending when they were started to cook. They just write on the pots, and I hope I'm not giving any industry secrets.
It's a very high-tech system that we have here. What he's referring to is it's very clever system. It's what time did it go on, and then, oh, crap, it's ready. Okay, yeah, let's take it off. That's really how the system works. It's not that clever.
But yeah, no, all these things you don't normally get to see. It was pretty great, and seeing, these just mounds and massive amounts of meat being pickled, and the pickles being pickled, and I guess no, the meat's being brined, the pickles are being pickled, and just getting to see all of this stuff is really interesting for me. Anyway, I really like to know how things work, and so that was really interesting. And having the access to be able to photograph it and not someone say, oh, don't show that or don't show this. It was, yeah, go ahead, shoot it. This is what we do, and it's fine. So that was for me my favorite part, and seeing a lot of the things that you guys still do there that are really traditional, and you weigh things, come into the shop and there's an old school scale with
we use the same scale,
digital scale. It's great.
Yeah, we've used that same scale for oh geez, how long dead now? 70, 75 years. I mean, I would say every pound of meat that's ever come in to the store has been weighed on that, and hundreds of million pounds of meat. I mean, I couldn't even begin to guess how many pounds of meat have gone through that scale.
That would have been a good stat for the book.
It definitely would have been. That would have been incredibly tough to figure out, right. Though, I think. I had trouble enough trying to figure out the salamis that we've sent.
12,276,000.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Approximately, yeah. All right, there you go. You heard it. It's over 12 million pounds of meat. That whole back section was the original store. We actually technically started across the street, and then we moved over. And the back part of the store was the original storefront. You entered on Ludlow Street. And it wasn't until 49 that we extended all the way out to Houston Street. So that whole back section, since 49, it's been the same. I mean, the whole store's been the same since 49, and that's, I think, you could see it on the scale. It's an old scale. They keep trying to get us to modernize it, put in the digital measure and all that, and it's no point. I'm not going to do that.
It's been working for 125 years.
Yeah, it's good now. Why not?
Yeah, no, and those are the things I really love. I just had another one. The bathrooms, I think, are brilliant. Yeah, the pink tile.
Brilliant?
I love it. I love old things like that. And it works. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's the bathroom.
That's because you're a guy. The girls in here don't agree with you.
I'm sure. But it's all these little things that visually I thought were beautiful. You have this pink tile and this yellow hand dryer, and that sort of thing. The purple stuff in the toilet to keep it sanitized or whatever. Visually, I thought it was great. Not everyone likes shooting in the bathroom, but I had a fine time.
No comment on that. I'm just gonna leave that alone.
And then sort of another thing that was really special for me was after a while you get to start to know the staff, and that's something that I'm not sure really comes across that well in the book. Is Katz's is like a big family that is. Has everything a family has. It has the dysfunction, the love, the hate, the fights, and the arguments, and all, and sort of all that stuff. And at the end of the day, they're still sort of a family. They take care of each other, and waiters might get into fights, but then the next day they're whatever, it's fine. And same with the cutters, and that was really special to be able to sort of get to see that experience. And
you became part of the family for a while.
I don't. I don't claim to be part of the family, that I feel like when I walk in and I get a fist bump from some of the guys behind the counter, I feel like part of the family. It feels really special to be a part of that. And Katz's is. I didn't realize that when I started the project that Katz's is. It's not just a restaurant. It's not just this establishment. It's like part of New York. It's like the Empire State Building or some sort of landmark. And it's because it is. It's not filled with people for no reason. It's not just the pastrami. It's like a pilgrimage. You go to the special place, and it was. I didn't realize that till I started the project. I was far into it, how special, and how lucky I was to be part of it. So that was really nice.
We were lucky to have you.
Well, it's a love fest up here.
Yeah, no one wants to hear this. They want to hear we hated each other. We duked it out every day. It was terrible. It was a lot of fun. The project on my end too, just getting to dive into the history a little more. I think we didn't really plan on it writing that much. We planned and there's a lot of spoken history and stories about this one or that one, and so it was nice to be able to really sort through things and try and figure out the concrete history for Katz's, and now we have it down, and along with the photos, it was great, and I think we're going to take some questions. Okay.
I'd love to open it up to the audience.
Hi, have you ever considered making a movie of Katz's? I know it's been done for it's Deli in Montreal, Schwartz's. They made a movie and book on it as well.
Are you a filmmaker?
No, but
no.
I'm a movie buff.
Yeah, no. I mean, we've been lucky enough to be in a couple movies over the years. As far as a movie specifically about Katz's, I can't imagine that many people would love it, to be honest. I if someone came to me with the idea, I wouldn't say no, I guess. We'd talk about it as a family. We'd talk about everything. I can't imagine it coming across,
probably would make
short answer, no.
It would probably make her better a sitcom or TV show than it would a movie.
Let's pass it down this way.
Yeah, hi. Hi there. Is there a story about the send a salami to?
No, we just no story whatsoever. It's really uninteresting.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. So send a salami started.
No, the sign.
No, so that's been our slogan since World War II. And at the owner at the time, his 3 sons were serving overseas. They were fighter pilots, and they were not eating well. You don't eat that well overseas there. So, mom and dad were a little upset and said, okay, we're going to start sending them some food. So some good old salamis went in the mail, and we've been doing that ever since. Since World War II, what did we say? 50,000 salamis have gone overseas to soldiers all over the world. As my father likes to say, whenever there's a soldier in harm's way, we'll send a salami.
Out this way.
This is less about stories and just more about kind of numbers and everything. What portion do you guys think of your customers are tourist versus locals? I'm just curious.
So it's a real mix, and Baldomero can attest to this. It really depends on the time of the day and the season. It's really hard to come up with numbers for that. I would say come Christmas time, yeah, there's a lot of tourists, but there's a lot of tourists in all of New York. But you take a Wednesday night dinner time, how many New Yorkers did you see? Or 3 a.m? It's only New Yorkers. There's no tourists whatsoever. So it really is a huge range in that regard.
Can I answer? About 15, 20 years ago, it was about 15 to 20 years ago, it was probably 100% local. And with the advent of all these cooking shows and travel shows and the internet, on certain days it could be as much as 50% tourists, but we will not fall into the trap of finding a cheaper way or a different way. We still do everything by hand, and not just because there are tourists there. We're not going to look to make an extra buck on it. And,
You guys are not here. Do you have a question?
Okay.
This is just an anecdote, actually. In fact, I live near you, down the block from you, from your apartment. Actually, your dad was telling me where you live. So I'm going to be watching for you, actually. I had a friend from Munich who visited New York for the first time about a year ago, and we live right there on the Lower East Side, and she said, there's something I have to do before I go to any museum or anywhere else. I have to go to that place from when Harry met Sally. I thought, all right, that's fine. She said, no, you don't understand. I've been waiting years to be in the place where she did it.
Well, here's a question. Did she recreate it when she came in?
No, because I think you would have noticed that.
Well, no, you'd be surprised. It happens once or twice a week. And,
Are you really?
oh, yeah. It's awkward every time, but it's fun. It's entertaining. Hey, if you're that moved that you feel the need to recreate
Literally,
it.
if you're that moved, I'd
Yeah, do what you got to do.
She loved it.
Good, I'm
We have
glad.
another question in the middle.
Can you talk a little bit about you're iconic because it's a fifth-generation business, but also what you represent in the neighborhood, and you're one of a few, maybe Russ and Daughters and a few other pillars that represent the Lower East Side of a certain time. Can you speak about you're trying to maintain what it means for your family, but also what it meant for the history?
Yeah, of course. I'd be happy to. So, as you mentioned, this is since 1888. We started at a time when deli was everywhere, when deli was not a unique and special thing. It was just deli. You know, it's food as part of these Eastern European food traditions, and that's what we're preserving today. And that's a tradition that is largely disappearing, that we feel very strongly about. It's something that my father's focused on for years and years and years, and something that I'm going to continue to worry about, which is preserving that food identity and preserving that food culture that you don't see in a lot of places. And the Lower East Side as a whole is always changing, and change is a beautiful thing in New York. But there's certain things that are important to stay and as traditional, and this storefront logo, that look and the feel and the character and everything that Baldomero mentioned as far as the people inside the store, all that is important to stay the same. And so that's what we strive to do. And as far as the community goes, we actually just on Tuesday opened the doors next door to us, called the Space at Katz's, which is kind of this pop-up art gallery meets apparel shop. And we're only doing it for a couple months to kind of sell it as part of our ongoing 125th anniversary celebration, to celebrate the neighborhood and to celebrate the community and the artists who live and work and they create art right down on the Lower East Side. We feel very strongly about the community. You don't stay in business for 125 years by not caring about them. Whatever it is, whether it's this celebration or whether it's Hurricane Sandy, where we gave away literally thousands of pounds of meat to shelters and things like that, it's something that my grandfather taught my father taught me, and something that I'll teach my kids.
I think we have another one.
Baldomero. You were talking about you got to go all over, inside Katz's, all over Katz's. I was wondering if there was anything, having that kind of access, that particularly surprised you, that you weren't expecting with Katz's.
Careful how you answer that.
Yeah, there was a guy
Other
peeling
than the purple
potatoes.
stuff.
A guy peeling potatoes, like he was like the sort of I don't know if it's an archetype or not, but the guy sitting there with a bucket peeling potatoes. I thought that was like, really? You're kidding me? There's a guy peeling. This is great, you know. That's really surprised me. And another thing is that some of the, and I don't know, this is not, it's in the book, so it's fine. There's some of the waiters kind of take breaks in between shifts, and they go to sleep in the basement. Where the boxes are and stuff, because it makes great cushioning, these on-made boxes. And
one thing that drives me crazy sometimes, by the way.
Well, I thought it was great because I was with you and you didn't yell or do anything. I took a picture of it and I was like, oh, he's gonna say, oh, don't show that. It was fine. It made it in the book. It was great. So those are a couple things. And that's, again, going back to sort of being in the bowels and getting to see the stuff you don't get to see normally. I thought that was pretty cool.
Do you have any other questions out there this evening? Yeah.
Yeah, you going to keep the ticket system?
Of course, we got to stress you out a little bit, make you worked up, like the, you know.
very anxiety producing.
Hey, listen, if it ain't broke, you don't fix it, right?
Any plans to ever expand other cities, pop-up stores, small pavilions in Grand Central? I don't know.
Well, you commute through Grand Central? Is that? Okay. We'll deliver to Grand Central on your way. Quick stop, you can grab a sandwich on your way out. Look, if we could do it in a way where the food still stays that same quality food, I mean, yeah, we could have a little kiosk or something. I don't know. We don't really have any plans, but as long as the integrity is there, you can't recreate Katz's. That's just ludicrous. That's madness. But you can.
Nothing in Universal Studios.
Epcot, right? No, nothing. Yeah.
Is being a photographer for 9 months in and out of Katz's all hours of the day and night, my question would be, did you find, what particular sandwich did you like best?
That's funny. I started the project as a corned beef person, and now I won't touch anything but pastrami. I was a convert, and I don't know. I just saw enough people getting pastrami, and I think what would sort of turn me was someone ordered a pastrami Reuben, which I never occurred to me you could even do that, and I was like, oh geez, what I've been wasting, 39 years of my life on this corned beef. So now I'm a pastrami person, and my son is too. I have a 5-year-old son. He had never been to Katz's before this, and I took him and we had pastrami. And now he's like a little. I don't know what you guys put in that, but he was like a little like But I said we're going to Katz's, and he's like, oh, pastrami. So definitely pastrami now. And it's funny because you'd spend hours and hours and hours. You get home smelling like, Katz's.
I can't relate.
And it's a hard smell to get out of, and you'd be like, oh, I'll never have another sandwich again. And then the next day I'd be editing film, looking at the images, and my mouth would be watering, and be like, oh man, I really want a sandwich right now. It'd be great. So it's in my blood now.
And right here.
What's your best-selling item?
Pastrami. Yeah, for that reason. That's we go through roughly 15,000 pounds a week of pastrami. I mean, of course, it depends on the season and all that, but if we go through, let's say, 2,000-3,000 pounds of brisket and turkey each, 8,000 pounds of corned beef. You add in 4,000 hot dogs a week, and the salamis and all, when you add up all the meat, it could be 25,000 pounds of meat a week, 30,000 pounds of meat a week.
Great. Do we have any other questions out there in the audience tonight? Okay, one more.
Have you ever run out of pastrami?
There was a riot about 25 years ago, started when there was no more pastrami in Katz's. So since that date, we've never, no, I just made that up. No, we try to prepare for the best case scenario.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, so the pastrami is first cured for about 3 weeks. Then it's smoked at a very low temperature. All this is in the book, guys. Come on. Smoked at a very low temperature for about 48 to 72 hours. Certain type of wood chips. That's where the rub is applied. You know that black that you see on the outside of the pastrami? That's all the good stuff. That's all part of the smoking process. So a little salt, pepper, coriander, flavors like that come together. And it's boiled for 4 hours or so, steamed for another half hour, hand cut. And then the first step is actually the most important. I forgot to mention. It's got to be a navel cut. That is important. You'll see like top rounds. You'll see brisket cuts. You'll see all these other cuts, and it's just not the same. You taste it, you go, what is this? This is garbage. So we focus on the small details that take way too long to make.
How many employees do you have about?
About 100. Get in part-timers and delivery and things like that.
Going back to the photos, I assume that you have a ton of photos that didn't end up in the book with all of the time you spent there. What was the editing process like for what went into the book, and what are you going to do with all of your outtakes?
Thankfully, I was not the editor on the book. That would have been too difficult. Beth Doherty, who's with Bauer & Dean, the publisher, she did all the editing, and we have many fights over the editing. And there's lots of pictures that I really wanted in there that didn't get in there, and lots of pictures she wanted in there that I didn't want in there that got in. But in the end, it was a great process, and she did the majority of the editing, and then I sort of said, this yes on this and no on that, and we sort of had our meetings on what we get in. But yeah, I don't know, maybe you could I don't know the number.
25,000 photographs, 645.
Was it really 25,000?
Yeah, there's a lot of repeats in there.
Holy crap.
But there were subtle differences. They had it capturing 30 photographs. What's our movie rush?
Right. Yeah. There were certain, and it's a misleading number, because there'd be a guy walking by with a big tray of fries, and I'd capture him kind of going by and get a series of 6 or 7 shots. So.
You'd still have to look at it.
Right. But yeah, there was a lot of photographs.
I looked at like nothing compared to that number.
No, yeah.
I was just at the end. I was like, yeah, no, I don't want this one. Yeah, okay, yeah. Ooh, wow, holy crap.
Excellent. Well, on behalf of the Strand, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Baldomero. Thank you, Jake. Thank you to Katz's. Make sure you guys check out the book on your way out if you haven't already. And everyone head to Katz's for a sandwich.
That's right.